So another cause of environmental degradation can be over-exploitation of resources. When you over-exploit your resources, so you can also have environmental degradation. And then, of course, people also say climate change contributes to environmental degradation. And then, most importantly, improper waste management.
Improper waste management.
Yes. When you don't manage your waste well, for instance, if you go to the dump site, the water that drips through the waste and into the ground contaminates the underground water. And then when it contaminates the underground water, this is the same water that recharges what we drink. And then you may have issue of waterborne diseases because in terms of planning principle, we are expected to keep a distance between our maybe sockaway pit and our borehole, about 30 meters. But if it is less than that, if the distance is less than that, you see your sockaway pit has the potential of contaminating
the drinking water.
And some of these water do not go to the required depth. Some of them do not even go to the third aquifer that they are expected to have at least the cleanest water. So people dig wells and all of that. So these are ways that we have environmental degradation.
These are primary sources of. You made mention of climate change. Climate change, is it a man-made stuff or natural? So that is to say, we also have natural cause of environmental degradation.
We have both natural and man-made, but principally man-made.
Principally man-made for that of climate change.
The climate change.
Can you elaborate on the effects of you just mentioned something on the effects in terms of waterborne diseases and other that you also talked about the heat wave because of deforestation of Abuja and so on. Can you elaborate more on its effect on there are other effects on our human health and ecosystem and also on our economy?
All right. So for the human health, you have spoken about the
heat and waterborne
disease, and then there's also when you do continuous cropping. We are supposed to do rotational cropping where you switch between crops, and you also do bush fallowing where opportunity would have been to allow plants to fallow and then to give us
the nutrients,
the organic fertilizer. So in this case, when you are doing continuous cropping, you cannot run away from applying fertilizer. And this fertilizer, they also bring what they call nitrous oxide. So when you have too much of the nitrogen there in the water, it also causes health issue. So you have respiratory diseases also coming from there. And then, for instance, there's what they call a blue baby syndrome. So it affects the infants the more when they drink this water, because the nitrogen in the water will be suppressing the connection between the oxygen and the blood. So that is a very huge. So principally respiratory diseases, are part of the ways that environmental degradation affects human health. And then the waterborne disease, and then we have talked about the discomfort from the heat and all of that. And then again, for ecosystem provides majority of the services that we need. So ecosystem provides food, biodiversity, and then they also provide us with the pollination for the plants to grow. So when you destroy ecosystem, when environmental degradation destroys ecosystem, and then you see that you are losing these services. So you have biodiversity loss, and then some plants and animals will go extinct, what people call flora and fauna, they will go extinct. And I'll give you an example. Like, I don't know the last time you saw squirrel.
That was in my tender age when I was in the village. I don't know if they are still there now.
That is one of the effects of environmental degradation. You can't find them anywhere. Some of those species of plants and animals have gone extinct.
These are the ones that attract them to come.
Yes, so they have gone extinct because they don't find that habitat anymore. There is that habitat loss, so you don't find them anymore. And of course, you see, for instance, there's also the aquatic ecosystem that has been destroyed through environmental degradation, and the chief agent is the plastic pollution.
Plastic pollution.
Yes. So when you go into the aquatic life, the plastics there also affect the lives, the fishes, and then the phytoplankton. There's what they call phytoplankton underneath the wetland.
Underneath the water.
Yes, yes. So these are the plants, the aquatic life that absorb 50% of our carbon.
Okay, the one we throw out in the society, the carbon.
If the water body with the plankton is not, phytoplankton is not there, we will all be gone. So they take 50% of the carbon emitted globally.
Is that so?
Yes. So and then so the wetland and then the phytoplankton are the blankets for absorbing carbon.
Absorbing
so
carbon.
If you degrade this, if there is disturbance, so there is bound to be problem.
And what disturbs it is this very plastic.
Yes, plastic pollution is the worst aspect of pollution. That's why in Kenya and Rwanda they have banned. Okay, Rwanda has banned plastics pollution some way, and then Lagos is trying to see how we do away with the single-use plastic. Those plastics that we cannot reuse, so there's no need to use them. Kenya is also taking that seriously. So plastic pollution is something that even when fish swallow this plastic, and then the poison transmitted, it will be difficult. Even when you cook your fish, it will be so difficult to kill the poison. So it transfers to human beings. So it's very serious. So plastic pollution, and you know, plastic can travel as far as you want. So plastic produced in Nigeria, even nylon, can travel from here to Abuja to Lagos.
Yes.
So that is the danger, you know, around the plastic pollution. So that is for the ecosystem. So in terms of economy, so food insecurity.
Okay.
Environmental degradation affects soil fertility.
All right.
It might come by way of erosion. When erosion takes place, the nutrients are eroded, and then when you don't do sustainable agricultural practice, so the fertility will be lost, and when the fertility is lost, it will affect the agricultural productivity, and then even the fishermen too. So the fish production will also go, because, for instance, you see what is happening in Niger Delta. The oil spill affects the aquatic life. So the crayfish and other categories of fish so are difficult to come by these days in expected quantity because of the oil spill. So what the aquatic animals are also taking poison from the oil spill. So,
and even when we eat it,
so there's that chain of transfer of poison from environmental degradation. So economically, when all these components are affected, so it affects the economy.